Hello. Today we begin our second day of our journey through the Tarot as the hero's journey or the fool's journey. Today is actually day number 1 because our first day of the journey was 0, and that was the fool itself, which to some extent represents birth. As you can see, this is my version of the Fool that I'll be using. It's our essential nature. So the Fool is us coming into contact with our essential nature. And often versions show a young man politely stepping forward, about to step off a cliff. We discussed this yesterday. Today, step number 1, we come across the magician. Now, in the mythological story, this would be the person that the Fool meets, that he interacts with, that the hero meets, he or she. For example, with Jack and the Beanstalk, that would be the person who sells, the man who sells Jack the magic beans. You know, obviously a magician, obviously somebody with some magic abilities, obviously also something of a trickster because he gets Jack to sell his cow for a handful of beans, for 3 beans. But the Fool, in the real journey that we're talking about, the soul's journey, our journey through change, if the Fool is birth, then the magician is our learning how to use our body. Here's my version of the magician that I'm going to use, and I apologize for the low tech, which means that you see the card backwards. And here's the Rider-Waite version that shows the magician with one hand reaching up towards the sky and the other pointing down to the earth, and with the magical implements of the tarot there in front of him. And another one of my versions, which shows the hands black and white, and the magician's cap with, once again, you can see the images of the tarot right there. And older versions called Le Bateleur, more show somebody who is really truly more of a manipulator. The word manipulate is very important here because the magician is a manipulator. Here's 2 more. These are Aleister Crowley even used 2 versions of the magician. One a kind of Hermes, and the other more Egyptian. But the first thing that we do as infants, obviously, for the first 6 months, we are just nursing and sleeping. And then, not for the first 6 months, for the first 6 weeks or so, then there starts to be sound, speech, and then movement. There's always movement with the hands, but eventually one of the really key developments of an infant is once he or she begins to move. Their ability to manipulate their environment, to move about their environment, to use their hands to accomplish their will, as well as to use their words, to speak, to accomplish their will, and to make their wishes known. Now, all of these very important activities require the brain. So on some very profound level, the magician represents the most powerful tool that we have, our brain, and our brain's ability to help us, to teach us, to be our servant as we manipulate, as we move our body, mind, spirit through this world. That's very important in terms of what this step means. We come in, we have our essential nature. Our essential nature is 0. It is endless and formless and complete without needing anything or wanting anything, but we come into a body, and that body has to do things. And the magician, our ability to manipulate our brain, the form that we take, and the way that we learn how to make it function, this is the magician, our ability to take steps. When the magician comes up in a tarot reading, it often shows ability, the ability to do something. Sometimes it can show a liar or a trickster, or the ability to manipulate in a less desirable way. But it also shows our ability to make things happen, our agency, really, in the world. Not so much our rulership, but our agency over our own self and over our own body. So on today, a thing to think about, an exercise, a way for you to meditate or think about or move with the card, is in keeping with the journey that you've set yourself on, the path, whatever that path is, whatever kind of transformation or desire or interest it represents to you. Today, you go from zero, from endless, from infinite possibility, and from the full formless and fullness of anything could happen, into the restrictive but also valuable and useful, very, very useful form of one who can take action. What action can you take? And how can you use your thoughts, your brain, to identify problems and circumstances and situations and to create solutions? All you have to do is think about that, because even by thinking about it, you are being the magician. But the best thing to do is to come up with one action you can do, that it can be big or small, that moves you towards your desired goal, and to take that action and see what happens. See what other thoughts it brings you to, what other plans it brings you to, and even that one action can be to make a plan, to use your brain to make a plan. Tomorrow we approach card number 2, the High Priestess, where we learn to set aside our brain, useful though it is, and move into a more intuitive functioning within this form that we take. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.